Oh, wow. I think we're live. If anybody is here, say hi. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds before we get started. Somebody's here. This is exciting. Okay. Hello. Hi. This is my first time doing a Facebook Live, so this is very exciting for me. If you can hear me and see me okay, and if you're excited, give me a thumbs up in the comments. We'll get started in just a few seconds. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Melissa Humana-Paredes. I'm from Team Canada, and I play beach volleyball. Hello, everybody. So fun to see you all. Okay. I'm currently in Vancouver, British Columbia. I was born and raised in Toronto, Ontario. But with the COVID pandemic, I kind of got stuck here. So I'm with my brother right now, staying with him and his girlfriend. And I'm still in bed. It is 8 a.m. I'm doing very well. Thank you, Melanie. How are you? So I've got my tea and I'm in bed and I'm excited to start the morning and get the day going with you guys and answer some of your questions. This is very exciting. So I'll do, oh wow, lots of people. I'm going to do a little brief intro on kind of how I got started and then start answering some of your questions. So if you have questions that I haven't answered or that you really want the answer to, just pop them in the questions. I can see all of these comments. You guys are very sweet. Okay, but like I said, I am 27 years old. I started playing for Team Canada when I was 15. That was my first international tournament. I started playing beach volleyball when I was 12. And I'm a first generation Canadian. My parents immigrated from Chile. And then they had my brother and myself here in Canada. And so I am a Chilean Canadian. So I speak a little bit of Spanish. Hello from Spain. Hola. But I'm really excited to kind of get going and hopefully you guys like this and we can do more. But okay, any questions? Okay, so I actually started playing beach volleyball before I started playing indoor volleyball, which is not the norm. I think it's an unorthodox way of getting started in the sport. But a lot of that was an influence from my dad. I don't know if you know, but my dad played on the Chilean indoor national team. And then when he came to Canada, he started coaching beach volleyball. And his team went to the 1996 Atlanta Olympics and they won a bronze medal there. So I was 4 years old when my dad coached his team to a bronze medal at the Olympics. And so at a very young age, beach volleyball and the Olympic journey and the Olympic dream was influencing my life. And that kind of is how I got started and that kind of what sparked my journey. And so that's how I started in the game. And so that's why I gravitated towards beach volleyball first. I was always on beaches. When I was a toddler, I was like in diapers and just running around beaches, and it just became my second home where I felt very comfortable in. And so I think that actually made me a better player because I started playing beach volleyball, which meant that I had to have all of the skills. And then I moved to indoor a few years later, mostly because my friends were playing indoor and I wanted to be a part of a team. And I wanted to be kind of just have more of a social aspect of the game. And I had an amazing time playing indoor. But I was able to play many different positions because of that, because I came from the beach and had a good skill set. I mean, I couldn't play middle because I'm 5'9". And my hands were too slow, so I couldn't set. And I wasn't a right side, so really only left side or libero. But I was a pretty well-versed kid. And then I played varsity volleyball in Toronto at York University for 4 years. And then I started playing professionally right after that on the FIVB World Tour. And here we are, almost 10 years later. Okay, I'm going to start answering some questions. I'm probably going to repeat myself a couple times and introduce myself a couple times for people who come in and that are new. But, that's a good question. Okay. Oh, great questions. Okay, I'm just going to get started with some of these questions first and then get to your questions. First question is, how am I doing with the lockdown? That's a very great question. Thank you for asking. It's been tough. At first, I thought I was doing really well and I was adjusting well and I was fine. But there are moments, and it goes in waves on when it hits me that our lives are so different and the Olympics aren't happening this summer. And I haven't been able to see my partner, Sarah, in a very long time. I haven't been able to play beach volleyball in a very long time, and I'm currently working out of my living room. So it's been a huge transition. I would say I'm doing well considering the circumstances. I'm very privileged to have a life that I have and to have my health and safety, and my family is safe. And I live in beautiful Canada. So I'm very lucky to have those. And I'm also very lucky that Sarah and I have already qualified for the Olympics. I know a lot of athletes during this time are really stressed out because if they haven't qualified yet, what's their qualification process going to look like? So I feel very lucky to be doing well considering. Another question. Before becoming a pro, did you think that your career would be this successful? That is a really great question. I definitely had the hopes and dreams too. And I think because I grew up with my dad's influence and with his Olympic journey, the Olympic dream just seemed a little bit more tangible and just seemed a little bit closer to home, almost normalized in a way because it was always around. And, you know, he went to about 3 or 4 different Olympics. And I remember just always watching him and seeing him travel around the world. And the Olympics was just, it became part of our life. And so for me, the Olympic goal was always a thing. And I think when it really hit me was when I partnered with Sarah Pavan, and we had goals to become one of the best teams in the world. And it happened very quickly. I didn't think it was going to happen that quickly, honestly. I don't think either of us did. I think we knew we had great potential to be one of the best teams in the world, but we just clicked so fast and things started happening really quickly. We started getting results, and we became a real threat, and we haven't really looked back. So it happened very fast, and I'm really grateful. I can't say I'm surprised that it happened, but I'm surprised how quickly it happened, for sure. Some people want to know how my partnership with Sarah started, which is a great question. Growing up, I idolized Sarah. She was obviously one of the best players in Canada and one of the best indoor players in the world. So she was a household name growing up in volleyball. You knew who Sarah Pavan was, and you knew who the Pavans were. And I watched her growing up a little bit, and then I heard she was coming over to the beach. And so when she made that transition, we were all very excited and very interested to see how it was going to happen and how it was going to go. And she partnered with Heather Bansley to make a run for the 2016 Rio Olympics. And so I got to know her a little bit better when she came on tour, on the FIVB beach tour. And I got to see how she plays as a beach volleyball player. I got to actually know her as a person, because before she was just this like figure of excellence. And so I was a little bit intimidated because it's Sarah Pavan. And then I had the incredible opportunity to go to the Rio Olympics in 2016 as an alternate. So I didn't qualify. I missed out by 1 spot. I was the next team to go. And so they wanted a sparring team or a training team to go with them to the Olympics. And I went. And it was one of the most incredible experiences of my entire life. And I got to be a part of the Olympic dream without kind of the pressures of competing. So I got to experience everything that goes on behind the scenes. I got to see firsthand what happens, how the Olympics change you and how the Olympics are so incredible. Everything that happens at the Olympics, I got to experience before going into my first Olympics and having those pressures and all those distractions. So I'm a little bit more prepared and ready. I kind of know what to expect. But in the process, I also got to know Sarah really well, and being the training team there, they got to see how I function, how I train, and how I can compete and perform. So I think we got a little bit closer to the Rio Olympics. And then after the Olympics, they posted up a fifth place, which I think is a great result for their first Olympics. It was disappointing for them. They parted ways, Heather and Sarah. And then Sarah asked me to play with her for the next quad. And I was honored and so humbled. And it was a no-brainer for me. It was the easiest yes I've ever said. And within a couple months, we were training together. And then at the start of the first season, we finished second in our first tournament against Agatha and Duda. So that was just kind of how the ball started rolling. And we set a goal to be one of the top 10 teams in the world. And we finished that season ranked number 2 in the world. So things happened very quickly. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to play with her and to continue playing with her, because it's been an incredible journey. I'm just going to kind of reintroduce myself. Melissa Humana-Paredes, beach volleyball from Team Canada. If you've just joined, we're just getting to know me. Send in your questions. It's 9 a.m. here. I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia. I have my tea, and I'm just waking up. So let me know what you want to know, if you want to know anything. I'm going to answer another question. What do you do when you're not playing beach volleyball? That's a great question. I usually, when I have some time off beach volleyball, I go back home and I spend a lot of time with my family and my friends back in Toronto. And I like to go to a lot of concerts. Live music is my jam. I will scour the websites looking for great concerts in the area, not like huge stadium concerts, like small concerts. I've been to so many great concerts, and I will go alone a lot of the time. I like going to concerts by myself. I think live music is so soulful, and I think it's a beautiful thing to experience, and I absolutely love it. So you'll most likely find me at concerts and probably playing with animals, probably puppies. I love animals. I love dogs. And you'll also find me at restaurants, trying different foods, eating a lot of food. Yeah. Those are the 3 main things I'll do. That was a good question, though. Let's see. What is the difference between preseason and in-season training? Preseason, there are like a couple different phases to preseason. And the lead up is usually about 3 to 4 months at the minimum. Ideally, we'll give ourselves 3 to 4 months before a big competition. And a lot of that includes, it starts off with individual work. So my coach and myself, and we'll just be, 3 of the 4 practices will be one-on-one, focusing on a new skill each practice and just hammering that down, getting in a lot of reps. And then 1 practice a week will be with the whole team, with me and Sarah. So that's like the first part of preseason. And we just kind of work on technique, a lot of technique, so much technical work on the skills. You come from an off season, you haven't touched the ball in a while. So you really just want to get the feel again. And, sometimes bad habits can come back in when you aren't keeping up on them for a long time. So we do a lot of that just to reinforce good habits. And then once we feel like our individual work has gone really well, we'll team up as a pair. So Sarah and I will do a lot of teamwork, a lot of communication, just a lot of system work with our coach. And then the closer we get to a competition, we start including more competitive practices and drills with our training teams. And because we train in California, in Hermosa Beach, California, we have a lot of American teams down there that we train with. So about 3 out of the 4 or 5 practices we do will be competitive, and we'll do a lot of wash drills. and they're so much fun. Also, a lot of European teams do come to California to train with us as well, which is so much fun too. So preseason it has a couple waves and it's so much fun. And then once we are in season, oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, in preseason, we'll probably be doing a lot of weightlifting. Maybe not super like heavy at this point. We're probably working on power and speed. So Olympic lifting. Once we're in season, we kind of take a break from weights. We still try and maintain our fitness, maintain our strength throughout season, but we don't want to fatigue ourselves. So we'll keep it more to the competitive side of volleyball and more speed work in the gym for sure. A fun little question on the live I'm going to answer. Who are your friends on the world tour circuit? That is a really great question. I've been really lucky and grateful that I started playing internationally when I was 15. And so I went to a lot of youth events when I was younger, like junior world championships and youth world championships. My very first one was in Turkey. And it was the under-19 junior world championships in Turkey. And a lot of the players that were at that world championship are still on tour to this day. So we've kind of grown up together and been able to see each other grow and evolve and develop over the years as people and as athletes. And now we're on the world tour together. So that's been really great. Like in my very first world championship, I met Maria Fay from Australia and Taliqua, and Nina and Tanya from Switzerland, and Victoria Bieniek and Isabel Schneider from Germany. Just so many girls that are still playing to this day. Anouk and Joanna Heydrich from Switzerland as well. Like we all grew up together. And so we've been pretty close, and it's been a ton of fun getting to grow up with them on tour. Okay, more questions. Which part of training do you like the most, and which part do you not like, or kind of like? What do I like the most? I love competing. So I love when, at the end of the week in California, we have a competitive day in practice, and we bring in a nice American team to come compete against us. And a lot of the drills are super competitive. They get spicy. They are tiring. They run you to the ground. By the end of the week and by the end of that practice, we're all dead on the ground. And those are kind of my favorite days, is when you can compete and just like play volleyball. Preseason can kind of be monotonous at times, where you're just going over the same skills, and you're just repeating everything. You're just getting a ton of reps. So once you can compete again, it's a great feeling. I love that. And what I don't love as much is conditioning, like sand sprints or interval training or running or bike sprints. I always dread doing them. I always feel really good after I do them. I know that, but I always hate doing them. But they're really good for me, mentally and physically. Another good question. What did I study? I went to university in Toronto, York University I went for 7 years to finish. It took 7 years to finish my degree. I played volleyball for 4 of those years, and I switched majors halfway through. So I started my university degree in kinesiology, so like the study of human movement, and a lot of people end up doing physiotherapy or become a gym teacher. Those are or sports therapy. I realized that I wasn't good at that, and I didn't really love it as much. I'm not a sciencey person, and it was like very science heavy and math heavy, and I feel I have more of a creative mind. I liked writing papers and doing research and critical thinking. So I ended up switching to communications. So I finished my degree in communications. And no, that does not mean that I can speak better, clearly. But it was just a fascinating degree. I don't know what I'm going to do with it if I continue on with it, but I really enjoyed it. and I'll probably go back to school at some point after I retire, or maybe while I continue playing professional beach volleyball. But I really did enjoy school, and I do want to go back. Oh, you want to give me like a thumbs up, or send me a nice emoji just so I know how everybody's doing, where you're all from. I'm going to repeat it again. My name's Melissa Humana-Paredes. I play beach volleyball for Team Canada. If you're just tuning in, send me your questions and I will answer them. Okay. Ooh, another good question. Why did I choose beach volleyball over indoor volleyball? I think I kind of mentioned it, but I was introduced to beach volleyball because of my dad, because he coached the Canadian Olympic beach volleyball men's team at multiple different Olympics, and they came back with a bronze medal in 1996. And so growing up, I was just always on beaches. I was always around beaches. I was following him when he was traveling to other beaches in the world. And so that was always really close to home. That was my first instinct. And how could you not just fall in love with beach volleyball? It's the best sport in the world. Who agrees? Type yes in the comments. Who agrees? Yeah. So I just started with beach volleyball first. And I didn't know that there were other options, honestly. This was just how I happened to get into the sport. It was very organic and it was very natural. But a few years later, I started playing indoor volleyball. Again, more for the social aspect of it. I wanted to kind of be around more teammates and meet new people. And so I started playing club. I think I was in grade 10. I may have been 15, 16 years old. So when I started indoor volleyball. And I did that for a few years. And then I kind of left club volleyball for a little bit and did beach again. And then going into university, I started up with indoor again. I was on a scholarship at York University, and it was some of the best years of my life. Like, I absolutely loved playing varsity volleyball for my university. And so I was doing both at that time. I was doing both indoor volleyball and beach volleyball, which was really challenging. And I had to pick at one point. I definitely had to choose one. I couldn't continue doing both. And my first love has always been beach volleyball. So that was an easy choice for me. I think I just had more potential to go further. I had the chance to go to the Olympics with beach volleyball, and I just loved it more. I mean, how could you not love beach volleyball? It is so much fun. I think it's super. I think this is actually another question, so I'm just going to answer it now. What's my favorite thing about beach volleyball? I think it challenges you both physically and mentally, and and emotionally. Like, it is all encompassing, and it also forces you to be a well-rounded player. So I really enjoy that. And you're involved in pretty much every single play, which is both good and bad. It is very challenging to be out on the beach, just with you and your partner. There's no coach. There are no substitutions. You're out there. You're vulnerable. You're out in the open, and people are just trying to exploit your weaknesses. And so you have to be very mentally strong. You have to understand what your strengths are. You have to understand what your weaknesses are. And you have to know how to play against that and with that. And so it's very challenging. Sometimes it's not easy. Actually, it's very hard a lot of the time, but it is probably the most rewarding. And it's the most independent sport. I think you're out there on your own. You got to think for yourself. You got to make changes and make plays on the fly. And so that's been a lot of fun. It's also been really challenging. And I also love traveling the world and chasing the sun. I think it wouldn't be good for my soul if I was stuck inside in gyms all year round. And a little bit of tan always looks good, but with SPF, always wear sunscreen. But I look better with the tan. So not right now, because I haven't been outside in a very long time, but beach volleyball is definitely my number one sport for so many different reasons. Someone asked, how are my salsa dancing skills? For being half Latin, you would think that they would be better. They're not that great. They need to improve a little bit. So if anybody has tips or willing to give lessons, I'm here for you. So just let me know and we can salsa, because I need to improve that. Show us the moves. Oh, you know what? If you want to see me salsa, put it in the comments, and maybe the next time I come live, the next video that I do, I'll start with the salsa. Why do I keep saying salsa? I'm gonna learn some moves, and then the next video, I will come out with a salsa dance routine. Okay, if that's something you want to see, let me know. I can't pull it out right now. I just haven't had coffee yet. What sacrifices did I have to make to get to where I am now? Also a really great question. I think a lot of people look at professional athletes and think, oh, what a great life. It's so glamorous and it's so exciting. And yes, it is. It's amazing. And I'm so lucky I get to do what I do. But a lot of times they don't really get to see the sacrifices behind what goes on into those lives and into those decisions, especially in beach volleyball, where I think it's a lot more of a grassroots sport, and it borders on amateur and professional sport. We obviously have an incredible opportunity to play in these tournaments and earn a living and make prize money, but it comes at a cost and it's not guaranteed. And each federation in each country has their own way of handling their organization. So when I first started, I was paying out of pocket for my flights and the hotels to go to these tournaments, and for the food, and for training and living expenses. And so it got really expensive. And a lot of the times you're not making money when you start out. You know, you're in the qualification and you're just grinding and grinding until you can make it into the main draw. And then once you're in the main draw, you know, maybe you're breaking even, maybe. And then it's not until you climb and climb and climb until you can really feel like a professional and call yourself a professional and say that this is my job, this is how I earn a living. And so, you know, you have to sacrifice a lot to do that. You have to sacrifice a lot of your time. And growing up, I started really young. I was in high school and then university, and my social life definitely took a hit because of it. And I had to say no to a lot of cool events my friends were going to, which in hindsight isn't, like, I had no problem saying no to that because I loved what I was doing. And it was just, I think it was more exciting for me to do what I was doing. You know, you have to miss a lot of birthdays, and you have to miss a lot of weddings, and you miss a lot of holidays, and you don't spend a lot of time with friends and family. And it could be really lonely. And so I moved to California. This was the first time moving away from home, from Toronto, Canada. I did it when I partnered with Sarah Pavan. And so I kind of left everything that I had known and everything that I had grown up in to pursue my dream. And it was the absolute best decision for me. But it was really challenging because I had left everything that I had known and had to kind of start all over again in a new place. It wasn't like a foreign country. We're neighbors, but it was definitely challenging. And I was on my own a lot. I had to kind of get really comfortable with being on my own and finding things that I like to do for myself. And that's kind of when I started going to concerts by myself and like really enjoying live music and going to movies by myself. Like, spend more time with yourselves, people. You'll really get to like yourself and get to know yourself. So I really recommend that. But it was really hard to be away. The last couple years, I've spent my birthdays and Thanksgivings on planes to China eating congee when I would much rather be eating a turkey. But, you know, that's part of it. That's part of sports. And I have a niece who's a couple years old now, and I've missed a lot of her growth and her development. And that's really hard. And I can't even imagine what it's like being a parent on tour, where you kind of miss your children growing up. So there are a lot of sacrifices that do happen. And I do think they're worth it. Sometimes you do question, sometimes like, oh, I'm missing this again. But, you know, when you start something like this, and I'm sure a lot of professional athletes will agree, you put 120% into it. You put everything you have. You don't do anything half-ass. And it's because of these sacrifices that you give up. There's no way that I would miss my niece's life or miss all these events with my family if I wasn't going to put my whole heart into this dream, and if I wasn't fully committed to this dream. And so it does require sacrifices, but it's totally worth it. Okay, some more questions. What is my favorite color? My favorite color is kind of like a teal turquoise, like an aquamarine. You know, that's probably my favorite color. Um, ooh. Do I have any role models in beach volleyball? Yeah, I have so many. I mean, growing up, Carrie and Misty were my idols, and um, they were just incredible to watch and inspired a whole generation and some. I also remember growing up, I would watch Marta Menegatti. Does anybody know Marta Menegatti? She's only a couple of years older than me, but she started playing professionally on tour and producing results at an early age. And I remember being so inspired by that. Like, I want to be where she is. You know, like, she's only a couple of years older than me. I can do it too. And so I remember watching her, and like, that was good motivation. I wanted to kind of get on her level. And I remember they would have these posters of Marta, and I was like, I want to be on a poster. I want to be like Marta. And a few years later, I was on a poster, which is really cool. But what I love about beach volleyball is that it's like a big family on the FIVB tour. And so, you know, we're competitors on the court, but off the court, we're all super friendly. And there's a lot of love and respect, which is one of the things I do love about beach volleyball. So, you know, another one of my idols, Laura Ludwig, you know, we compete on a pretty regular basis against each other, but off the court, she's just such a bright light, and she's so much fun. She's a great role model. Agatha, I've always loved Agatha. She's kind of been like a second mom to me on tour from Brazil. And she's just been an incredible inspiration. And I just love the way that she plays, the style that she plays. And I think she is another great role model. I also love Duda. I've been playing against Duda since she was like 12 years old. She beat me when she was 12 years old at like, I think it was under 23 World Championships in Poland. In the semifinals, she was so young and she beat me. And she's just been incredible to watch grow, and another inspiration. And am I answering this question? I have a lot of role models. It's just a very impressive sport. Okay. Some more questions. So we're hitting the 30-minute mark. Should I continue? Are you guys enjoying this? Give me a thumbs up and I'll continue answering more questions. I'm having a great time, so I'm going to continue. Okay. Any male beach team you want to play against? Ooh. You know what? I do want to play against Anders Mol and Christian Sorum from Norway. I'm not sure how it would go. I think we could put up a good fight. But I definitely want to play against them. I want to see what all the hype is about. Like, why can't anybody beat them? I think Sarah and I probably could. Another team that I would love to play against, Karambula. I would just love to kind of figure out how to handle his sky serves. Are they really that hard to pass? I think I could pass them. I think there's the men's game is just so different than the women's game. Let me know what game you prefer watching, the men's or the women's games. I'm biased. I think women's games more entertaining, and not because of our uniforms, but let me know which you prefer and who your favorite team is. Because the next question, I think, is what team do I like playing against? I love playing a Brazilian team. I think they bring a lot of spice. I'm going to have to probably say Agatha Duda. I think they bring a lot of spice to the game, a lot of energy. It's a different style of volleyball. I feel like it's a lot more like, this is the technical term, flowy. It's just more like flowy. And so I kind of relate to that style a little bit more because I'm a little bit undersized. I'm 5'9", by the way, if anyone is wondering. I think their style kind of suits my skills a little bit better. So I like playing into that. But, you know, I also really love playing Maria Faye and Taliqua. They're so much fun. I love playing competitors like Carrie Walsh, huge competitor. She's awesome. I love playing against Laura. I love playing against Tanya Nina. Tanya's one of my best friends on tour, and it's always a battle against her. It's always tough playing against your friends, though, but there's just so many good teams out there that I love playing. The Czech girls, Lara and Maki. Oh, I could keep going. If given the chance, which reality show do you want to be in? That is such a good question. Probably some kind of baking competition, Food Network show where I'm the judge. I would love that. I would love to judge and taste food. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Roy. I love that comment. I appreciate you. Okay, a couple more questions. Let's see. What is my most memorable tournament so far? I mean, it's so easy to say the World Championships because it's definitely it is the biggest tournament I've ever played in, the most important, the most valuable, the most historic. And so I know that's the easy answer, but probably the most memorable, there are probably a couple. So the very first tournament that we won that Sarah and I won was in Porch, Croatia. It was a major series, and it was our very first major series together. I think we had just come off of a 4th place finish in The Hague a week prior. And here's a little bit of backstory. We just finished 4th place in The Hague. And so we were coming on. 4th is the absolute worst position that you could come in. It is so painful to finish 4th at a tournament. That's 2 missed medal opportunities. I would rather finish 5th than 4th at a tournament. It hurts your heart. It honestly really does hurt so much. So we're coming off of that finish, and it was our first season together. So, it's still not a bad result, but it still hurt. We had a little bit of a break. We had a week off between that tournament and Porch, Croatia. And I just found out that my grandma had also passed away the following morning after finishing 4th. And so my heart was heavy. I was hurting for multiple different reasons. Sometimes it's hard when you have things going on outside in your personal life to try and stay focused and be in the moment in your professional volleyball life. And so this was a really hard time for me. I went home for a week. I was also supposed to graduate. I was supposed to go back to Toronto. I was supposed to walk across the stage with that funny hat and graduate and celebrate this great moment. But I'm coming off of a 4th place finish. My grandma had just passed away, and I just could not get off the plane to go walk across the ceremony and graduate. And it was really challenging for me. So I missed my graduation ceremony because I got out of the car, I had my dress on and everything, and I was just bawling my eyes out. We're getting real personal here, guys. I'm spilling all the tea. And it was a really tough time. And I had about 5 days to regroup because I had to fly to Croatia. And I did that. So we were in Croatia and we were reunited. We had a couple practices before the tournament started. And then we start playing. And things are flowing. Things are going well. We're competing. We're clicking. And we're loving the environment. Croatia is beautiful. And the major series, the beach major series, always puts on an incredible event. It's like the 5-star events. They're just gorgeous. And so we're really enjoying the moment. And somehow we make it all the way to the finals. The semifinal was against Anouk and Joanna from Switzerland. And we were this close to losing it. We shouldn't have won that game. But it was the quarterfinal, sorry. We won, and we were in the semifinals. And we had a battle. We had serious battles. We were in the finals, and the finals were on the same, it was July 1st. It was on the same day as Canada Day. So we had, that little bit of magic. And it was also our very first time playing at night. It was a night match. And so it was dark, and the stars were out, and the lights were on. We were playing under the lights, which doesn't happen very often in beach volleyball. And the music was going, and they had dancers and acrobatics in between timeouts and stuff. And it was just this whole incredible show. And I couldn't believe that people were there to watch me play. It was incredible. I was a part of this amazing experience and this amazing, spectacular event. And we were the main lineup. And it was an incredible game. We lost the first set. It was 31-29. And then we ended up winning in 3. And we won on Canada Day. We won after finishing 4th. We won, after my grandma passed away. And I feel like she was a little part of that magic, and how we were able to win our first gold medal on Canada Day. And it was the first beach major series medal for Canada, for a female team. And it was just a beautiful moment. So that's probably one of the most memorable tournaments. It was a story. I hope you stayed for it all. But that was probably one of the most memorable tournaments I've ever played in for so many different reasons. It was one of the most beautiful moments. Oh, a question by Joshua. During the last World Championship, what team do you think gave you the toughest game? That is a great question. I think it's no surprise when I say that it was Tanya Huberly and Nina Betchart from Switzerland. It was a semifinal match. And going into that game, I knew that that was going to be the toughest. They were playing so well, and they always bring it against us. And they're some of my closest friends on tour. So that's always really challenging. And they showed up. It was a complete battle. Another game where we were this close to not winning. Like, they had every chance to win that. They had an incredible comeback in the third set. We were up 14-10 in the third set. We were up 14-10. We needed 1 point. And somehow it was like 16-15 for them. It was incredible. And we ended up sneaking that one out and making it into the finals. And I think after winning that game, Sarah and I knew that we were going to win it all, because that was by far one of the hardest games that we've ever played in our entire career, that I've ever played in my entire career. It was so emotional. There was so much grit and so much hard work behind that win, that after that, it was smooth sailing. Not that it was, because the finals was also another battle, but I think after we had that game in our semifinals, it set us up for the gold at the World Championships. And it happened. We became world champions. So that was definitely the toughest game for sure. Okay. One of the most surprising wins in my beach volleyball career. The first thing that comes, that's the question by Michael, against a team that I thought would be very, very difficult to defeat, was actually in the very first tournament, very first FIVB tournament for Sarah and I in 2017. We had made it to the quarterfinals, and we were playing against Laura Ludwig and Kira Walkenhorst, who had just won an Olympic gold medal a few months prior. So we were going into that obviously as the underdogs. I think Laura or Kira was a bit injured though, so they weren't up to the level that up to the Olympic level that they showed. But still, like, I still idolized Laura. This was like my very first year with Sarah Pavan, like really in the big leagues, and I was so starstruck. I was like, great, here we go. We have to play the Olympic gold medalists, and we won. I don't know how it happened. I remember the photographer took a picture of my face after we won, and I was like in complete shock. I was sitting in the bench just with my jaw. It was an incredible win for the team. And then we ended up making it to the finals. We lost to Agatha and Duda in the finals. It was a great game, but that was probably one of my more surprising wins in my beach volleyball career that like first comes to mind. There are definitely a couple more, but that was definitely a team that I thought would be hard to beat, and they were hard to beat. But I think that kind of like sparked the rest of the season, you know, like, yes, we can actually do this. Yes, I belong here on tour. And it was a beautiful moment for the team for sure. Are there any other questions I'm missing? Let me see. Oh, how come you always have that big smile on your face regardless if you're winning or you're losing? Oh, thank you. Honestly, I had braces for 4 years, so I just really like the fact that I don't have braces anymore, and I feel like I need to show my teeth off. No, well, kind of, but no. I feel very lucky to be able to do what I do, and I try not to forget that, because it is a privilege. I live a very privileged life. This is like, if you could ask me one thing that I could be doing, it's this. It's playing beach volleyball for a living. It's representing my country. It's traveling the world, and it's, being my own boss and having everything kind of in my own control. That's the absolute ideal place that I want to be. And I get to do that. And so when I'm not smiling, why? Like, I'm so grateful. I'm so lucky. I get to do this for a living. And when I get reminded of that, and when I look around and when I'm in the moment and realize that I am fulfilling my dreams and that I am accomplishing something that I've wanted to do for so long, I can't help but smile. It's also just, it's a dream come true. And the environment is also a lot of fun. If you ever come to a beach volleyball tournament, you know how fun it is. You got the music going, the DJs are great, it's a great environment, the fans are super loud. I think regardless of the results of the game is something that I've really tried to come to terms with. Regardless of the results of the game, if I am enjoying and present in the moment, and if I am communicating well with my partner, and if I can feel her love and her support, and I'm doing the best that I can on the court, I have to smile. Like, I can't ask for anything more than that. So that's probably why they call me the smiling assassin. Another question. What makes a partner a great partner? This is something that Sarah and I have worked on for so long. And why I think we're such a successful team is because we put so much emphasis and so much work on our partnership. And she's absolutely incredible and so talented. And we have realized we're very different people, completely different personalities, but we complement each other really well. And I think because we're different, it works in our favor. But the challenge is that we have different ways of communicating, and we have different ways of operating, different ways of using motivation. And, we have had to learn a lot about each other, how we handle losses, how we handle wins. And I think what makes a really great partner is being accepting and being honest and vulnerable. There's always going to be respect that is like at the very base and the foundation of every partnership, respect and love always. And then what makes a great partner, like that's the foundation of a good partner. What makes a great partner is acceptance and vulnerability. I think if you can accept your partner's strengths and weaknesses and flaws, because we all have them, then I think that's the first step. And then in turn, to be able to be vulnerable and be honest and vocalize, when you're nervous, when you're scared, what you really feel, what you feel accountable for, what you feel like I should be accountable for. I think that really takes a team from good to great. And we put a lot of work into that. And so I'm really grateful for her because she taught me how to be open and honest and vulnerable and have productive, constructive conversations along with our sports psychologist, which very key, very important to have a sports psychologist to kind of help mediate these conversations and ask the right questions. And so I think that's very, very important. Okay. Someone give me a sign if you want me to continue. One more question, maybe I'll answer one more question from the live. Or maybe one more from the live and then one more from ones that you sent in before. And then I'll probably have to sign off here because we're closing in. I'm so sorry if I've taken so long, but I'm having a great time. So, okay, this is a cool question. Some of my favorite drills in beach volleyball. What are my favorite drills? Okay, there are a couple. So one of them is a serving drill, which I think is kind of one of the most important skills in the game of volleyball, and also the only skill where you physically can hold the ball. Every other skill is influenced by someone else or something else, but you are holding the ball when you're serving, so you have complete control over it. That's why I love it. It's like totally in your control. And so we do this one drill where we have 6 targets on the court, usually in the corners of each corner, and then in the middle. So we'll have like a little circle in each one of those, target practice, and we have to serve in each target 3 times before we can get out of the drill. And so it sounds easy, but it is such a difficult drill, and it really asks you to focus in. And as a professional, you should be able to hit these targets on a regular basis. And so it's a mental practice as well, because if you're not focused, if you're not like in the moment, you're probably not going to hit the targets. So it asks quite a bit from you. Now, one of my other favorite drills in a wash drill is you have one team that's siding out. And so they're receiving all the balls, and they have to get 3 side outs in a row to get 1 point. And then if our coach is feeling really nasty that day, in order to get that 1 point, we'll have to validate the 3 side outs with a serve. So we'll side out 3 times against a team. They're probably really gnarly rallies and stuff. Like, they push us for sure. We'll feel so satisfied because we get the 3 side outs. And then you have to go back and you have to validate it with the serve. So you have to hit one of the targets. And if you miss the target, you don't get the point, and you have to do it all over again. And we usually play to like 5 big points. But again, coming back to that serve piece, like, it's so important. We put a lot of emphasis on it. And that is probably one of the most rewarding, but also the most grueling drills. It makes you better, but it is so frustrating if you keep siding out, but you're not getting your serves and you're not getting your points, and you're just getting more fatigued and more fatigued. Best drill ever. Love it. Okay. So I think I've definitely taken too long on here, but I've had a great time, and I think this is where we should end. And if you did like this, let me know. Maybe I'll come back. I can do another live. We can talk on another subject, answer some more questions. This is Melissa Humana-Paredes again from Team Canada. I play beach volleyball on the FIVB World Tour and Beach Major Series circuit. And I'm currently in Vancouver, British Columbia. I've had a great time with you. Good morning if you're on this side of the world. Good evening if you're on the other side of the world. I hope you enjoyed this. And this is me signing off. Ciao.